Okay, in the last lecture, we have successfully created the Docker container for the MySQL. Now, in this video, we are going to see that how to create the Docker image for the Spring Boot application. So there are a few steps that we are going to follow. So the first step is that we are going to create the package of the Spring Boot project. The second step is that creating a Docker file. The third step is that building a Docker image from the Spring Boot application that would be done with the help of a Docker command. And the third one is that running the Spring Boot application as a Docker container. So this is what we are going to see in the video. Okay, so now let me go back to the our IntelliJ idea, and that is where we are going to clone our Spring Boot project. So guys, if you can recall that we have put our project onto the GitHub repository. The project is the student management system backend, right? So I'm going to download this GitHub URL and I'm going to clone this project into our VS Code, sorry, not VS Code, but IntelliJ IDEA. Okay, so I'm clicking on get project from the version control system, and here I'm going to provide the URL. Okay, so I'm clicking on clone. It is giving me error that I have already a folder called student management system backend. Okay, so what I'll be doing that I'm just giving some other name of the project, and the project name would be student management system backend 1234. Okay, so I'm clicking on clone and it will clone the project in the IntelliJ IDEA. Okay, so we are done with the cloning of the project, that is student management system backend, right? And let's check that whether all the dependencies have been downloaded or not. Yes, the dependencies are downloaded, right? And what we will be doing that, let's test our project whether it is running or not. Okay, but before running this particular project, what we'll be doing that we are going to use the MySQL server which we have created with the help of Docker, right? So what I'll be doing that I'm moving to the Docker software, Docker client. Okay, I've just started the Docker client. The Docker desktop is starting, and here you can see that the container is not working right now. Okay, so what we supposed to do that I'm just deleting this particular container. Okay, and what I'll be doing that let me go to the terminal of IntelliJ IDEA, or you can use the normal Windows terminal, that is also okay, right? So in the terminal that I'm going to write a command to start the container of the MySQL server. Okay, so the command would be, the command is docker run -p port number, that let's take 1234. Okay, this is the external port number. That means that the external application would able to access the MySQL container with the help of this particular port number, that is 1234. Okay, colon, then the internal port number, that is 3306. The internal application which are there in the Docker that would able to access the MySQL server with the help of this port number, that is 3306. Okay, then I'll be providing a name of this container, that is MySQL_db. Okay, and after that I'm going to provide the image name, that is the MySQL. Okay, so this is what I have provided, and what I'm going to do, I'm hitting enter, so it will start executing or start creating the container of the MySQL server. Yeah, it is giving me error that I have to provide at least one of the parameter. Okay, so I'm going to provide the password. Okay, root password of the MySQL, which I'm going to create with the help of Docker. Okay, so here after name, what I'm going to specify, that is with the help of -e option, that is MySQL underscore root underscore password, that is equal to root. Okay, otherwise rest of the things would remain as it is. Okay, so here is the command, that is docker run -p1234 colon 3306 dash dash name mysql underscore db -e mysql root underscore password is equal to root and mysql. Okay, I'm hitting enter, and it says that the MySQL underscore DB is already in use by another container. Okay, no problem. What I'll be doing, I'm moving over here, and here that you can see that we have already one container having the same name, that is MySQL underscore DB. So I'm just deleting this container. Okay, and let's go back to our idea and hitting enter. Okay, now it will start the container. Okay, perfect. That the container is started. Let's check that whether the container is started or not. So here you can see that the container is running on the port number 1234. How else we can verify? So as we have done in the last video, I'll be opening the MySQL workbench, and there I'm having a Docker over here, right? And this Docker is on the port number 1234. There is a connection for the Docker, okay? And here I'm going to provide the password, that is root, and clicking on OK, it should open the connection with the MySQL server which we have created. Okay, so we have successfully made the connection with the MySQL container, Docker container, which we have created just now. Okay, so we are ready with our MySQL container. Okay, now let's go back to the Spring Boot application, and inside the Spring Boot application, what I'll be doing, that I'm going to the application dot properties. Okay, inside the application dot property, I have to do certain changes. That the change would be here, the port number would be 1234. So as this Spring Boot application is the external application, I must have to specify the port number which we have specified while creating a Docker MySQL container, that is 1234, and the database that we are going to connect is the student. Okay, and followed by that, I'm assigning one attribute, that is create database if not exist. Okay, so what this will do, it will create a database if this database does not exist. Okay, so we are ready with our application. Okay, now we can run our application. You need to check the username and password over here, so both are root, so it will work. Okay, let's run the application and let's see whether it works or not. Okay, so my application has been started successfully. You can see that it is started, and it has also created few tables for us. It is because of the entity classes that we have in our Spring Boot application. Okay, so now what I will be doing, I will check that whether it has created the student schema in the MySQL or not. Okay, so for that I'm going to the MySQL workbench, and there I'm going to refresh this. Okay, yeah, here we have that student schema created by my Spring Boot application. Okay, now what I'll be doing, that I'm going to test the Spring Boot application. Okay, so to test the Spring Boot application, I'm opening the VS Code, because basically I'm going to use the Thunder client. And if you can recall that in our Spring Boot application, there is a the last API which we had created, that was the authenticate API. Okay, let me show you that inside the user controller, we are having this authenticate API, and here the user is supposed to pass the username and the password to authenticate himself or herself, right? So that would be in terms of username, okay, username as well as the password. Okay, so we are going to test that this is going to work or not. Okay, but before that, what I require to do is in the security configure, if you see that we have configured that it would be it would be that user detail service authentication. Okay, so obviously it is going to talk with the database, and it will try to look for the user table in the database, and from the user table it will try to get the information of the user, like username and the password. Okay, so like if you see the repository of the user table, right, here you can see that we have a method that is going to call to the backend, and it will fetch the username and password from the backend, right? So this is what going to happen. Okay, so now what we're doing, that we are going to add one dummy record into the backend, so that from the front end, means from the Thunder client, whenever we will provide the username and password, then it should generate the JWT token. Okay, JSON token. Okay, so what I'll be doing, that I'm going to provide the username and password, that is admin. Okay, so I'm opening the website to generate online bcrypt password, or encoder, online bcrypt password encoder. I'm going to use this particular link, and here I'm going to provide the password for which I require the bcrypt coded encoded value. Okay, so the total number of rounds would be 10, because by default the Spring Boot uses the 10 round. Okay, clicking on encrypt, and this would be the password. Okay, right, so this one is correct. Okay, so let me check this also, that I'm using this over here, and here let me provide admin, and let me check. Yes, it matches. Okay, so this is what we are going to have. Okay, so let me copy this. I'm going to copy this encrypted password and going to put into the backend. So let me go to the backend. Where is the backend? Here it is, table. Okay, and here we are going to paste the password. Okay, the username would be admin. Okay, the zip code, let's say 123456. ID 1, active 1, city, let's say Changa, email a@b.c, validation token, let's say 12345, and let's save this. Okay, it will execute the insert query, right? And here in the insert query, if you see that we have some B character B over here. Okay, please remove all this B character. This is for the binary data. Okay, and our data is not binary, so I'm removing this B from everywhere. Okay, and one more thing that I require to do over here is that this is active, right? So here this would be in a binary, right? So I'm specifying 1 over here. Okay, and let me copy this and clicking on apply. So here still I'm getting the issue, that the issue is that, okay, it is saying it is getting this as a character, right? So it should not be character. Let me cancel this. Okay, and let me, here this should be the column name, that is the active. Okay, and here this should be like without quotation mark. Okay, and now it will execute successfully. Okay, so here you can see one row affected, so we have one record in the table now. Okay, now let's go back to the application. Okay, that means that I'm opening the Thunder client, and we have already created this request, right? That is the localhost uh, http colon localhost 8080 authenticate, and the username and password admin. And when I click on the send, it will send me the JSON web token. Let me click on the send, and here you can see we are getting a token. That means our backend container, Docker container, is working perfectly. Our Spring Boot application is also working perfectly. Okay. Now, in the next video, we are going to create the Spring Boot Docker container, and we will try to get connected with the backend application. That's it for this video.